in the next couple of years, even earlier, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
We have a dedicated team only for that. We're going to transition everything into post-quantum. So it will be maybe the first blockchain to do that, because we have the best people working under these assumptions, and they're people who had experience even from the past. I was hired for Facebook because of my work on post-quantum signatures. That was the reason that someone referred me at Facebook, because they've seen me in one conference presenting one of the fastest post-quantum algorithms back in 2018.
This episode of Encrypted is sponsored by CoinRoutes. CoinRoutes is a leading institutional crypto trading platform that has rapidly established itself as a market leader in systematic trading solutions, offering a powerful algorithmic order execution management system that empowers the world's largest crypto trading firms. Welcome to the Encrypted podcast, your gateway to the future of technology and innovation, right here in the heart of Dubai's dynamic tech universe. I'm your host, Maria Vovchak, and together with Dubai Blockchain Center, we are embarking on a journey that unravels the minds of tech visionaries through the digital frontiers that are shaping our world. Hello and welcome everyone to the Encrypted podcast. I'm your host Maria Vovchak, and today we're really happy to have here Kostas Kryptos Chalkias. He's a trailblazer in modern cryptography and one of the most respected minds in Web3 security. As a co-founder and chief cryptographer of Mysten Labs, Kostas has been instrumental in building the Sui blockchain and the Walrus decentralized storage layer. With a PhD in identity-based cryptography and a career that includes leading Meta's cryptography team for the Libra project, designing secure systems for WhatsApp, and architecting R3 Corda blockchain, his expertise runs deep across both academia and industry. He is also mastermind behind innovations such as ZK logging for OAuth crypto authentication, hash wires, wrench proofs, and Winterfell, the first open source Stark prover. A prolific researcher with over 50 scientific publications, white hat hacker, and a passionate hackathon veteran, Kostas continues to shape the future of secure blockchain infrastructure. Kostas, welcome to Encrypted.
I'm very glad to be here. Hopefully we're not going to go very deep into cryptography, but I'm going to explain you how it will change the world one day. It's happening.
Actually, let's go deep in that, because you have such a knowledge, such a luggage of knowledge. In this case, I'll definitely would like to share with you. But also taking into account what I already told about you, what do you believe our audience doesn't know about you yet, but they should know about you?
One of the reasons that Mark Zuckerberg hired me at Facebook was to create a system where we can be protected against the exchanges go insolvent.
Okay.
So the things that happened with FTX, with empty GOX in the past for people who used to have Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So Mark was very sensitive, and David Marcus as well, who was leading Facebook that time. And they literally assigned me, find a solution how we can check if Binance, Bybit, OKX, all of the centralized exchanges are solvent at any time in the future and the present, of course.
Okay, can you tell us more about that? How did you do that?
There are many ways to do this, but one of them is, let's have the people who own balances on these exchanges test if their balance is part of the total amount that they advertise as their holdings. Mm-hmm. Imagine your Binance, right, or your Bybit, and you say, look, all of my customers have, a few billions in Bitcoin, in Ethereum, Sui, and all of the other tokens. How do you trust them? There is no way you can trust them, right? So what's happening is typically they advertise all of their assets on the blockchain, which is transparent. That's the reason we have blockchains today. Yeah. Everybody can see all of the addresses, how much money they do have, like coins. And then at the same time, these companies are holding the people's balances into Excel sheets, like an accounting sheet. But there we cannot enter because it's a private information. However, if we can match, but you know how much you have, how much money you have in Binance, right? So you can say, look, Binance in total, in the blockchain space, they do have, let's assume, $1 trillion in dollars. Is my balance included? Can they can they pay me if everybody goes and says, I want to withdraw my money, my assets? Can they do it? And there is some technology, it's zero knowledge proofs that you can actually do it. You can be your auditor of your own exchange. So this was quite unique because it's
Yeah.
impossible to do random sampling to everybody. But if you have enough assets, you have an incentive to say, okay, this day I have to check, this day I have to check, this day I have to check. So we automated the process. Obviously, the Libra project collapsed. So I left Facebook, and now I'm doing part of this work even at Mysten Labs and Sui.
By the way, let's focus on Mysten Labs as well. But before we go on, I wanted to ask you, because your second name, as I mentioned this earlier, is Kryptos. As far as I heard, your son's first name is also Kryptos.
It's Kryptos. It's part of our family now. And
Yeah.
Kryptos with a K, because in Greek, I'm Greek originally, there is
Yeah.
no C, but it's coming from cryptography. And I have a very interesting story.
Tell us.
While I used to work for R3 was one of the biggest fintech.
Yeah.
200 companies, they tried to create a consortium pretty much to defend against Bitcoin. So it was a permissioned network. My CEO there said, okay, if you can convince your wife to give a blockchain name to your kid, I'm going to give you a bonus.
Oh, really?
And then for a while, I convinced my wife after a lot of battles. I'm telling you, it's not algorithms, the biggest challenge in my life. It's convincing my wife to name her child Kryptos, right? And for a moment, he was actually richer, wealthier than me.
Oh, really?
Because all of the bonus was in crypto.
Okay.
And then I didn't have so much crypto, even personally. And Kryptos was a boy that was born into the blockchain, hype. And his name is after cryptography.
That's interesting. By the way, is he still in kindergarten, or is he already in school?
He's primary school now.
Okay.
He's 7, but he can write the smart contract.
Really?
Yes,
7 years old.
7 years old. I have a theory about this.
Oh my God.
I don't want to disincentivize people, but even myself, I started very early at 4 and 5.
4 and 5 years.
Yes, I got my Amstrad CPU back then. Like, I had the green screen, basic 1.1, and it was the only English book that we had at home. So I had to learn English through coding. So for me, it was quite an experience. And then I realized, even in chess, the chess, the game, most of the people who make it at the top levels, they start chess at the age of 5 to 7. After that, it's very, very difficult to become a grandmaster. So technically, we're like sponges at the very early ages. That's why I'm teaching them how to code. And it changes their mindset. I believe the wires in your brain, if you learn math or coding at very early ages, it's giving you an extra edge, an extra advantage while you're growing.
Are you also teaching right now your current developers?
Yes, I have one with AUS. This is the American
AUS.
University of Sharjah.
Oh, tell us.
In United Arab Emirates. It's one of the biggest universities, and I would say the campus itself is even bigger than Stanford. I used to live next to Stanford. My address was actually Stanford Avenue in California.
Really?
So I was there for 6 years, and then I came to Dubai. I recently relocated here like a year ago, and I asked people who are ruling the country here, what is the best university where I can teach blockchain technology? So we did it. AUS was interested on the first date, and then I had about 80 students in total, and some of them actually won the global Bybit hackathon.
Really? Oh my God.
Imagine competing against Silicon Valley companies. So we try to teach them what are the uses of the blockchain, because many people believe it's just for trading. No. Believe me, the infrastructure layer that we have even for governments today eventually will go under the blockchain infrastructure, the blockchain umbrella. And the reason is it's the only system that provides transparency. You cannot delete history. Everybody cares about all of the things that we do. There is like 100% history about what happened in the past. And at the same time, you can also do payments. You can have AI. How do you do, even real estate? We will see coming into the blockchain space, because it's probably one of the less, of the very few assets that didn't manage to have AI being involved into purchases. And eventually, if you put it into a platform where everybody can transact there, now AI can also do some stuff for businesses, real estate, payments, and all of these things. So I think it's something we cannot go back now.
Yeah, that's true. I believe so as well. With Sui, you said that one of your goals is to rebuild the whole internet.
Yeah.
So could you please elaborate on this and how the Sui's infrastructure support you with this goal?
This is super important. Even while at Facebook, our plan back then was to serve the unbanked people who didn't have a bank account. They couldn't even do KYC. They cannot even go and open an account, right? So our role was to build systems that can serve billions of users. But to do this, you need a very, very fast layer for transactions. So Sui is, I believe, today is the fastest one. And imagine we're getting all of this legacy from Facebook and we took it to the next level. The reason that many of these things didn't happen at Facebook, it's these big companies like Google and Facebook. People shouldn't believe that you have an idea and through the bureaucracy steps you have to follow, in 1 month you have it. It's slow. The big companies are unfortunately slow, and it was the reason that we left Facebook and we created Mysten Labs and then Sui. So we created a faster network than what we used to have at Facebook. So it can even do like hundreds of thousands of transactions. And at the same time, people say, okay, if you have a fast network, how do you now store files that are like gigabytes? You cannot compete against the speed of light. So we had to build something else on top of it because the blockchains are typically the CPU, like the brain of a computer.
Yeah.
But you need a hard disk. You need to store data. You cannot store data and still be so fast. So we created Walrus. And then Walrus, imagine it in your brain like the hard disk of your computer. And then you say, okay, now you have the brain, you have the CPU, you have the RAM, the memory, you have the hard disk. You need other things as well. So what do we have in life? In life, we do have Excel sheets, accounting sheets. We're opening the Google Docs and all of this stuff. Now it is possible because then we created DeepBook. And DeepBook is literally the Excel sheet or the NASDAQ. DeepBook. Yes, DeepBook is the place where people are doing swaps, they're doing DeFi, they're doing everything. So you say, okay, I have a machine that has a brain. I have a machine that has storage. I have a machine that has all of the accounting that you need to do decentralized transactions. And then you need more. Then you need identity as well. And then we invented ZK login, as you mentioned before.
Yes.
And what is ZK login? As I explained before, if you're at Facebook and you realize most of the people in life cannot remember a single password, how can we send them into the 12-word mnemonics or 24-word mnemonics? It's impossible. You cannot convince the average TikTok, Instagram user to have a very long password. They will forget about it, or they don't have the mentality to understand the necessity of keeping it as in a safe place, because unfortunately, the vast majority, in the first time they are facing a wallet, they believe there will be a button of, I forgot my password.
Yes. By the way, how do you feel? Because there are right now, as I heard, like new protocols coming, they're helping to recover Bitcoin in particular without, if, for example, you forgot the seed phrase as well.
Yeah.
Like, do you believe that we are on the path, and tell us, maybe you were doing something with Sui, where you can recover the funds if you forgot your password?
You see what I'm wearing today? This is HelpMe.
Okay.
HelpMe means
Help me.
key loss protection. Protect me against losing my key.
Fantastic.
This is how we won the hackathon, the global Bybit hackathon, by the way.
Really?
I know you didn't know it. I'm telling you, this was random now.
Yeah, definitely tell us.
Yes. So there are ways, and we identified a particular algorithm where people who forget their passwords, they can get it back. The protocol is called HelpMe.
Okay. How does it work?
So the basics behind it is, when you're creating an account, what you don't want to have self-custody is you don't want someone else to actually hold your key, right? Even if you have a backup. Because some people talk about custody. Yes, custody is a solution. If you forget your password, you go to the custodian, you go to Binance, Bybit, and you ask them, okay, recover my password, I'm giving you my ID. But if you hold your own passwords and there is no one behind you, you cannot recover it, right?
Yeah.
However, you can define like some entities that we call them guardians, where if you forget the password, they have the power to recover it on behalf of you. Recover the account by rotating the password to a new one. So this is using a technology called fraud proofs. You don't need to know what it is, but probably you know some L2s on Ethereum that they work like this, like they're L2s that are using zero knowledge proofs, and there are L2s that are using fraud proofs. But the fraud proof is a solution where you go to the blockchain and you say, look, I forgot my password. There is some privacy, so people don't know exactly which address is asking for this. And then there is a period of like a few months, someone to challenge you. No, you didn't forget your password. I have the private key. I can sign a transaction. But if nobody challenges you, it was probably you.
Yeah.
So they give you the opportunity now to rotate your key into something else, and now you can recover your account back. So technically, the protocol works as follows. You literally claim on the blockchain, I lost my password. And then if nobody challenges you for months, then you take it back, and we're using the guardians to speed it up. So not everybody can come with a gun in your head and say that you forgot your password, right? So there are only guardians who can do that for you. But the guardians are better than the custodian. The custodian can always go and bypass you now. But the guardian has to wait for months until you challenge them. So they cannot take the risk and go and say, on purpose, I will say you forgot your password. You can always get their money back.
But if I'm not mistaken, with some of it
Yes.
depends, of course, what custodians we're talking about. But you still have the multi-sig wallets from this perspective. You definitely need to provide your signature, they cannot. Maybe I'm wrong, but with some of the custodians, but they cannot access your funds and move them unless they have the signature from your wallet.
It depends on what is the format of the multi-signature. Multi-signatures, there are 2 out of 2. You need my signature and I need your signature.
Yeah.
But this doesn't solve the problem of recoverability. What if I lose my signature?
Yeah.
Then 1 out of 2 is not enough. So your money is not lost, but it's frozen.
Yeah.
So this doesn't work. And then you have the other model that is called typically 2 out of 3. I have a key, I'm signing, you are a custodian, you have a key, and we have a third entity as well to have a key.
Yeah.
But these 2 entities, imagine if this third entity is Google. Google and your wallet provider can cheat on you one day. Imagine if there is a war and they tell you, I'm putting you out, and the 2 out of 3 still works without your signature.
Yeah.
So multi-sig are not necessarily solving the same problem as key recovery that I'm telling you. It is another way to protect you. If you lose your key, you ask them, can you recover it for me?
Yeah.
However, you rely on them not to do it on purpose without your permission. So with HelpMe, we solve the problem of they need your permission to do it.
Yeah.
Without you, they cannot do it.
Oh, by the way, I'm really, it's really good that you shared this news because, to be honest, I haven't known about HelpMe. I believe that more people should know about this. But I'm really fascinated by the developments that are happening in the space, trying to help with this particular issue, which I believe is one of the biggest fears of Web2 people, let's say, to enter the Web3 space.
It's not only a fear, it's also regulation.
Yeah.
Our generation is probably the first one who is exposed to Bitcoin, to blockchain in general.
Yes.
Eventually, we're all humans. Eventually, we will pass away. What do you do? How do you transfer your assets to your family, to your beloved ones? There is no way at the moment, and there is not even regulation for this. There is not. Before HelpMe, we didn't even have systems to do that. So it's not only a fear that you will lose your key. It's also a fear that if something happens to you, how do you transfer your fortune into your kids?
Yeah.
And this is a solution to that. And I'm telling you, I've seen many regulators in my life, and they needed such a solution. And this is one of the reasons that we're inspired by cryptography. We're not only solving for Sui, we're solving for the whole blockchain ecosystem.
In the past decade, we have witnessed the rise of cryptocurrency as a powerful new force in the financial marketplace.
Anyone with a cell phone can hold stable coins and have access to a banking system. I think investors in general should do research into the asset that they're buying.
Many clients, when they get involved in the cryptocurrency space, have concerns about the safety of their wallets and how safe is it to trade across these platforms. And the reality is, as long as you take care and protect your keys, you should be fine. There are general concerns around volatility in the past. We saw Bitcoin do some huge price swings, but nowadays, things are normalizing a little bit.
In the face of a unique new financial marketplace, CoinRoutes was built from the ground up to handle the unique market structure of crypto assets. As a leading provider of algorithmic trading strategies and execution management systems, their distributed architecture allows clients to keep full control over their wallets and keys.
Let's focus right now on the technical capabilities of Sui because, as you mentioned, you really are one of the fastest layer ones out there, boasting up to 297,000 transactions per second and near instant finality, which it's one of the as well problems that blockchains were trying to solve. So from the technical perspective, the breakthrough that you did, such as parallel transaction execution, move language, what is the hardest to achieve for you personally as well as a cryptographer?
So there were a couple of things that we had to do after we left Facebook, and we were, as you know, I was a white hat hacker even on Ethereum, right? I was familiar with all of the smart contract languages, Bitcoin, of course. Bitcoin typically takes 10 minutes to create a block. If you also need to have a block that has also some other verified blocks, you even need to wait for 3 blocks or 6 blocks. 30 to 60 minutes, we cannot replace Visa and MasterCard.
Yeah.
That's the reality. That's why Bitcoin is not yet the payment system of the world. Then Ethereum came, they had 15 seconds. Again, 15 seconds is not enough. And also the blocks are not big. If we have like a massive interest for blockchain transactions, you have to wait more because your transaction will go to the next block. And then 15 seconds are not enough. Some new chains came, right? Solana came, like Sui came, Aptos came, all of these projects, they tried to build something faster. Our approach was slightly different than anybody else. So we got the Ethereum model where you have a balance and you can control some assets, but we created objects.
Yeah, by the way, object-centric model data, like upfront, like instead of account-based model.
Yes.
Yes, please.
What is the big difference?
Yeah.
What is the big difference between them? I will explain you with a real life scenario. So imagine you have one balance. You go to your bank. Forget Web3 for now. Everybody, there is no Web3. It's your bank.
Okay.
You go to your bank and you need to make 2 transactions. You have $1 million. And you need to make a $100,000 transaction and then another $100,000 transaction. They have to come in an order because your balance sheet has to be updated before you send the other transaction.
Yes.
Now, Sui created objects. So objects is pretty much like cash. I have in my pockets 10 notes of 100,000 each. My total balance is what again? $1 million. But I can put my hands into my pockets and I give you $100 and I give to your cameraman one another $100,000 on parallel because there is no conflict.
Yeah.
So this is the biggest difference between account-based systems and object-based systems. We're splitting the balances into nodes, into coins, real coins. And do you know which other blockchain is like this with objects? Bitcoin.
Oh yeah. By the way, that's.
Yes. So we got Ethereum, we got some like techniques from Bitcoin, and then we combine them. So you have an account, but your account holds objects. And this is how we manage to have full parallelization, almost unlimited, right? Because technically, if I had 1 million pockets, I could have 1 million transactions on parallel. While all of the other blockchains, probably they have to wait. So this is the best example of how you can manage to have parallel transactions. There is another thing. On Ethereum at the moment, when you have, for example, an NFT marketplace, people have to go to the same bucket to get NFTs. So you buy from this collection, wait, you're next, you get an NFT from the collection. The other 900 people are waiting until you finish and then they go. But in Sui, we said everything is an object, it's in my pocket. So when I'm transferring you an NFT or I'm transferring you a token, I'm not going through a bucket. I'm just giving it directly. I'm bypassing the mediator.
With the recent Mysten engine upgrade slashing consensus latency by 80%, what do you see the new use cases for blockchain to be, for different applications they're building on top of blockchain, be available for Sui that were not feasible before?
Anything that has to do with high-frequency trading and gaming.
That's why, by the way, you have a lot of games building.
Yes, and some AAA games are coming to Sui. There is a reason for that. As I explained before, Bitcoin and Ethereum, you cannot do it, right? You cannot have a game where your hero is lagging. They cannot move, right? You have to do it sub-second finality, 100%. With the tricks that I explained before with all of these object-based transfers, now we can easily go even less than half a second latency, because one is the speed, how many transactions per second, and the other is how much time does it require until your particular transaction makes it to the chain. And even swaps now and like transfers of money can be less than half a second. Now a game is possible to happen on the blockchain, right? And we have found other ways also to even make it faster. For example, Sui will be the first smart contract platform that we're going to have a Lightning network. The only one is Bitcoin.
Yes.
Right?
That's true.
And we created tunnels. So tunnels will allow you to have off-chain communication before you even go through the validators.
For the
Imagine,
gamers.
I will give you an example for the games. Let's assume that we play a chess game or a slot machine. How do you do a slot machine on the blockchain? Have you ever been to a casino and see people actually doing like so quickly that you cannot even see the symbols?
I'm more aware of chess, to be honest, because my grandfather, he was a chess champion. So
he was a chess champion?
Yeah, but
wow.
But in this case, unfortunately, I'm not the one who knows how to play that well. But to be honest, I'm more like I still prefer chess more.
Yes, so chess.
Yeah.
You can go and play chess on chain. However, each chess move, you have to do a lot of calculations, even in the move language or Ethereum language, to check if it's a checkmate, if it's a valid move, and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
If you can get it offline, then it will be by far better, right? And we agree that it was a valid move, and then we continue. So what we do, let's assume we have a chess game where we also have a very small bet, like $10 who wins, right? So we lock the money, we lock the state of the game. You have white, I have black. Then from our signatures, we're playing off-chain. I sign my move, you sign your move. I sign my move, you sign your move, and so on. And then when we finish, we go back to the blockchain and we settle it. It's already settled off-chain because in order for you to play, you expected my signature.
Yeah.
If I don't give you my signature, you will never be able to make your
cannot
move.
make a nice
So it
move.
has the security of the Lightning Network of Bitcoin, which it's actually inheriting the security of Bitcoin itself, and we did the same. But what is the difference between Bitcoin Lightning Network and Sui tunnels?
Tell me.
It's programmable. You cannot do chess on Bitcoin. You can only do payments.
Yeah, but right now with a lot of developers that are trying to build the smart contracts on Bitcoin, like how do you see? Can you please?
It will be
compare?
slow. Even if they do it, you cannot easily change the proof of work and make it faster than like 10 minutes.
Yes.
You cannot go to Starbucks and buy coffee.
Well,
That's the reality, right?
You can, but still you have to wait.
Yes, but wait 10 minutes? Come on.
And
It's not
sometimes-
only 10
wait,
minutes, by the way. It's 60
still
minutes.
The finality maybe like take to 1 hour, even like from 10
Yes.
to 1 hour. So like in this case, not
Okay,
even.
so it's not practical. And it's not only this, right? You cannot do games. You cannot do all of the other stuff that you need, fast finality, and so on. So Sui has Mysticeti, which Mysticeti is one of the fastest consensus algorithms in the world. It has a path for tunnels like Lightning that was not possible on other machines because we support zero knowledge proofs. The tunnels are also private.
Yeah.
You can even have a private channel. People don't even know we're playing chess.
By the way, I actually wanted you as well to tell us about ZK Proof, the one that you're working on, because it's one of the important things as well for Web3 space. And I wanted you to explain how you integrate in them, because you paid at one of the meetups there. I was moderating at one of the events where you spoke about how the tokenized real world assets, they would need ZK Proof because you don't want everyone to see all the assets that you have on the
100%.
Yes. So you raised a very important and in this case debatable question of privacy, debatable topic of privacy in blockchain. So can you please as well tell us how does it work with
Yes.
Sui,
So
with ZK Proof?
zero knowledge proofs, for those who are not technical, it's a technique where you're adding privacy. It's cryptography again, but for privacy, not for digital signatures, not for regular encryption. Privacy. What does it mean? Applications. We created ZK Login. What is ZK Login? You can do a login with Google or Facebook to the blockchain, but obviously we don't want the people on the blockchain to see your email.
Yeah.
So what do? Zero knowledge proofs. So we created a zero knowledge proof system that converts the response from Google into an address, and Google cannot even see who you are. One level of privacy. Second level of privacy. Okay, I secured my identity. Nobody can see my identity. The second one is, again, identity, but partial identity. You buy a house or you want to have access to some content and you have to prove that you are over 18 years old. Or you have to prove that you are a citizen or a resident of UAE. But you don't want to prove your full identity. Again, zero knowledge proofs. So another technique to do real world assets when real estate comes into the blockchain, we need to hide our identities.
Yeah.
But you still need to be KYC'd because you're buying a house. So again, zero knowledge proofs. And then there is the other thing. When people are transacting, there is one small problem where I can see your balances. Even if you're donating money to me, I can go back and see how much money you have. And in some societies, I'm not only saying about the hacking stuff that you might be a target. In some societies, this is not great, right? It's outside their culture. They don't want to see how much money I have when I'm giving you money. I'm making, literally, I'm volunteering to give you money, but I'm exposing my balance. Okay. So what we're going to see in the next few years is this technique again, the zero knowledge proof technique again, will be used to hide some of the balances. And obviously, you need to comply with the regulation. We don't want to get into the case of, tornado cash, like some things that existed in the past. You probably need to have a situation where at least the issuer will be able to check some transactions for fraudulent activity and so on.
Yeah.
So you need this thing that is called a viewing key. So it's privacy, but whenever it's required for like audits or regulation, you will be able to reveal some stuff just to ensure that you're not doing something illegal. So again, zero knowledge proofs. We're going to see all of this stuff coming. I'm telling you, the algorithms are now in the speed that makes this possible. It wasn't the case, in my opinion, 5-6 years ago. Cryptography has advanced so much because of Bitcoin and blockchain, just because there was money in the game. I'm telling you, whatever science, you're putting some efforts as society, and we started from trading, of course, right? But people had interest, which means that all of these companies had some of the best cryptographers. You don't even see these cryptographers at NSA, FBI. You don't see this level of cryptography even at the big organizations and agencies. But blockchain managed to accumulate all of the big brains. That's why you have better zero knowledge proofs now, faster digital signatures, faster blockchains, faster finality even against the bank system. Because it was the magnet for all of the people across the world to go to Silicon Valley, to come to Dubai, to come to Singapore, to come to all of the big cities and work for the first time, not as academics. If you ask me what was my future in 2008, academic. I couldn't do anything else. And then Satoshi saved us. Saved us from our misery because now we had the goal.
By the way, since you're like taking into account your academic background as well, and like many years, like as you spent like as a cryptographer, which is fascinating. I actually, I really like your debate at the Satoshi Roundtable. The topics that one of interesting topics that was covered was about quantum cryptography, and actually, I believe that you spend a lot of time as well working on that, like researching that. And what is right now your, let's say,
my view?
Not only view, but what is your some of the best thing you can share about quantum cryptography that everyone should know and we definitely need to follow as one of the trends, and how do you see it progressing and developing in the future?
So for the people who don't know what is a quantum computer, imagine something that you don't need to know how it works, but it can do the operations that we do today in our laptops multiple times faster, millions or billions or trillions of times faster. Which means that technically, if there was a quantum computer today, it would be able to break your keys.
There are some, but like
there are, but they are not at the level where I'm going to the trillions of trillions faster, right? Okay. So we don't have it yet. We don't have it yet. You are safe.
It has to operate under certain conditions.
Yes, it has to be underground, probably like minus many degrees.
80, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
Celsius.
There are different settings and different machines, right? And they work differently. Sometimes you work with atoms, with molecules. You go very, very deep into like what chemistry can do. This is one thing, right? So let's assume that there was a super computer that can be a lot faster, that can break your cryptography. We don't see it now. As a cryptographer, I'm telling you, whatever you see being published by Google or some other agencies, they're miles away. No. They can do, in my opinion, the quantum computers will help a lot on AI, probably being able to analyze simulation phenomena. They're doing quantum phenomena in life and in the environment, but going and break cryptography, it will take many, many, many years. In the past,
how many?
We don't know. There was some like analysis in the very far past, like 2015. People said to 2035, 2040.
So it's the most pessimistic forecast, right? In terms of breaking your keys.
Yes, I don't believe it will be even 2040. To tell you the truth, it will take more.
Okay, the most optimistic as well.
We don't believe it will happen.
Okay. So
there is one version that we believe all of the things that we're doing is in the realm of like infeasible by the human power, at least as we are now. But imagine that we created pretty much a new species. We created AI. Maybe AI will be able to unlock some of the phenomena in chemistry that we might have a leapfrog situation. Something happens, and that we cannot predict now, but at the moment we don't see it. As scientists, I don't believe your Bitcoins or Ethereum even today are in danger. However, we have to comply with the regulation.
Yeah.
The National Institute of Standard Technology in the US, including some other agencies across the world, they said by 2030, in between 2030 and 2035, if you want to transact with a governmental entity, you have to use a technology that cannot be broken by a quantum computer. So in my opinion, and I had a recent tweet around this, it's not that it will be broken. We don't believe it will happen by 2035, but because there is regulation, the governments are preparing themselves just for the most pessimistic scenario, right? You have to adapt.
But there's so many as well developments happening in cryptography.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I'm asking you about quantum cryptography. Can it resist?
Yes. There is a field in cryptography that is called post-quantum cryptography.
Yes.
What is it? It's not that we're using quantum computers. It's you are building mathematics that we know there is no known algorithm that can be used by a quantum computer to break it. So you're still using the casual computer, but the algorithms are a bit more expensive than the ones that we have today. However, they can resist the existence of a quantum computer in the future. That's why it's called post-quantum. People shouldn't think that when we say post-quantum signatures, Sui will have post-quantum signatures in the next couple of years, even earlier, I believe. We have a dedicated team only for that. We're going to transition everything into post-quantum. Sui will be maybe the first blockchain to do that, because we have the best people working under these assumptions, and they're people who had experience even from the past. I was hired for Facebook because of my work on post-quantum signatures. That was the reason that someone referred me at Facebook, because they've seen me in one conference presenting one of the fastest post-quantum algorithms back in 2018, right? This is when I joined Facebook. And then we accumulated all of this like brain power. There are many things to change. We have to change digital signatures. We have to change encryption. We have to change like the hash functions, like your address, how it's derived. And so we're working on this. It will happen, but it's with a regular computer. You have to work on the regular things that we have now access to protect against the future of quantum. So we're going to do it. But the reason for this is because we want to comply with regulation. We want to work with governments. I personally have like a high esteem on what we're building, and I believe all of the infrastructure of the world has to be converted into blockchain, a plug-in into the blockchain. And for this, I have to comply. If you have to comply, you have to start now. You cannot wait until 2035. And some of the other blockchains might fork. What do you do? How do you protect against Satoshi's sleeping addresses? What do you do there? He doesn't even have, let's assume he or she or them.
Them, perhaps.
I have more connection to Satoshi than most of the people in the world, just because I used to work with some of his developers. This is public information, but I don't know the gender and everything. However, there are some addresses that are sleeping. They never moved.
Yeah.
These, even if we switch to quantum algorithms, quantum safe algorithms, nobody is there to switch them. Unless it is there and they will wake up. That's why I call them sleeping addresses. I'm not calling them frozen addresses.
By the way, you're right, because especially as I mentioned that like with the new protocols that are coming, they can recover the private keys.
Yes.
That's why still. So are you saying, let's assume we, and by the way, we will talk about this during our rapid fire questions, but let's assume Satoshi is
Alive?
He's not, let's say, because if he's alive, he can move funds from his wallet. But if, let's say...
Don't say he yet.
Okay, he or she, them, by the way, yes. But eventually, let's say he or she or them is not moving the funds or are not moving the funds from the wallet. Somebody can, among those
Yes,
protocols,
if there was a quantum computer today, obviously the best target is I'm going to Satoshi's addresses and I'm going to recover them. That's why we have to prepare.
Okay.
We don't believe it will happen anytime soon.
Yeah.
But
you may never know.
You may never know, and that's why we have to build our system. So there, in my opinion, there is a term that I'm using, quantum ready.
Okay.
So it's not quantum safe yet, but they're quantum ready. I can press a button, and everything from now on is quantum safe. Sui, by the way, is using a slightly different algorithm than Bitcoin and Ethereum, where we found a way. If you are still having your previous key and you are sleeping, only if you use quantum safe technology you can transfer the money. So people who cannot find Satoshi's mnemonic on Sui, I mean, if there was a Satoshi on Sui, they cannot break it the same thing as they can do on Bitcoin. So we're quantum ready.
That's fascinating. Encrypted is your exclusive ticket to the epicenter of technological innovations in the MENA region. Let's focus right now more on partnerships because you've done amazing partnerships in terms of wallets with Ledger. You've done recently, as far as I know, with financial institutions, Franklin Templeton, World Liberty Financials. Can you please tell us how they help with Sui's position, let's say, in the traditional financial world / in DeFi and crypto space?
There is a big benefit of Sui. There is a reason why all of these financial institutes are coming to Sui. You know, there will be ETFs for Sui. There will be Circle is issuing stable, USDC on Sui natively, right? Without any intermediate. The Greek stock market decided to digitize itself on Sui. Why? The most important reason that I found is our technology is very stable, very fast. They can do even high frequency trading and other things that it's impossible on other chains. And in my opinion, there is an extra badge that we have that I don't see any other blockchain having it. The reputation. People who manage to build Facebook, WhatsApp, they manage to serve like billions of users. And the concentration of brain power, imagine we published more than 80 papers. Some companies don't even have a single white paper. And we have 80 white papers for all of the different algorithms. We publish something. There is no competition on this. Nobody ever managed to be close to us regarding the innovation excellence and the reputation at the same time. And the speed of delivering, not the speed of transactions necessarily.
And the eagerness to comply with the regulations as well?
Yes. Because as you can imagine, it's a company that was created in Silicon Valley, and then we opened our wings everywhere in the world. We have now in Japan, Korea, Greece, UAE, UK, we have Denmark, we do have Africa, we do have now South America, Vietnam. We're everywhere now, and we're doing it with high quality standards of a unicorn, pretty much like Facebook, but with privacy in mind. There was a reason they hired me at Facebook to fix the things there. So I don't want to be the bad guy that I expose your information to all of this stuff. I protect you. This is my job. This is the reason they hired me at Facebook in the first place. So imagine you have the good people with ethics, and reputation, creating a fast blockchain. If you were a financial institute, where would you go? Would you go to Solana? It's impossible because there is this meme fashion. You cannot easily go there. Would you go to another blockchain that doesn't have 30 cryptographers behind it, so they're in the front line every single time we want to invent something new and you want to compete? You were Visa or MasterCard. Where would you go? So in my opinion, there is a definite answer, which is Sui is very credible. It is fast, of course, there is innovation there, but there is this credibility. You cannot find it elsewhere. I think it also helps. We're 5 co-founders. All of them with special powers. All of them. In the spectrum sometimes, everybody of us, but that's how it works.
Having such as incubator hub with Gulf Capital Partners, with Sui Base Camp 2025, what are your plans for expanding in the Middle East and beyond?
100%. We came to Dubai earlier than everybody when we realized it is the crypto center of the world, especially before Trump administration. I don't believe there was even a competition. Even now, by the way, things are moving faster here. You've seen what's happening with AI and the investments on AI. As a smaller country than in the US, it's happening here. And we have huge appreciation of our partners in the region, like Gulf Capital, like Sheikh Al Mualla and Feraz. They were super helpful to show us how we can serve people outside like the US and EU, right? And we learned the culture. I'm personally a professor, as I told you. I try to blend myself into the local culture here, and I feel very proud about this. So we will use Dubai and Abu Dhabi as our base to expand in the rest of the Arab world, of course, because we know there are also unbanked people. There are people where they need financial literacy, and who are very good on education as well. I'm telling you, I'm even going to Egypt, I'm going to Bahrain, I'm going to Saudi. There is a reason why we're using Dubai as our base, because everything here, we find all of the resources that we need. You need a studio to have this podcast. You see, you found it. You need a place where you feel like you are working with someone who has incentivized you to see like the beautiful view and everything. I found it here. That's why we picked Dubai as well for our Basecamp. Basecamp is our annual event, and we decided to do it here because it's also the center between West and East, in my opinion. It's not Europe. I'm European, right? But Europe is very, very slow. It's like snailing. So Dubai is a place where people from China, from Singapore, from Japan, from the US, it's pretty much in the middle of the earth as it is now like distributed. So we decided to come here, get the help from the local partners, and actually create even an incubator here. And we realized that 6 of the companies that were selected out of 600, it was the biggest competition ever in the blockchain space. 600 and something applicants, and I had to pick 1%.
Oh.
Imagine how difficult was it for us.
Yeah, of course.
And if you see the flow, people were not sleeping. We created a culture that is hackathon style culture. When we have a goal, you have to deliver. And that's why you see like Sui climbing into the metrics of most users, like best applications, best zero knowledge proof innovations. And all of them are creating like a very good, pretty much base for us to grow. Yes, we're in the US, we're in UAE, we're everywhere in the world like with small departments, but the UAE is pretty much like a hub for incubating as well.
Thank you so much, Kostas. Right now, we move to the last part of our interview. Stay tuned with Encrypted. Rapid fire questions. So, Kostas, if you had to explain blockchain to a child in one sentence, how would you do that?
A database where everybody can see everything.
Which blockchain founder would you like to take on a road trip?
My co-founder, Evan Cheng.
Okay. If you found out who Satoshi Nakamoto is, what would be your first question to him, her, or them?
How do you know I don't know them? I had some access indirectly through emails through my previous manager.
So what were you asking?
I didn't ask. I just tried to find evidences on who they are.
Okay.
I had some patterns, by the way. For example, the double space, a few things that they were pretty much someone older than me.
Uh-huh.
And I have some information about probably the potential English literacy and other things.
What would you never do while building a company?
I would never sacrifice innovation. That's my style.
The biggest misconception people have about Sui?
In the past, they thought it's Facebook. It's not Facebook.
Okay. What's harder, explaining DeFi to a 5-year-old or teaching your parents how to use MetaMask?
Teaching my parents how to use MetaMask.
What's your favorite programming language?
I do Rust and Move.
Okay. Imagine that you're a character in a cypherpunk movie. What's the most Web3 thing would you carry with you? The most Web3 thing?
I don't know. I think everybody knows Bored Apes. You need to have this so they can understand it's Web3.
Finish the sentence. My business philosophy is?
Innovation.
How often do you practice your keynote speech before going on a stage?
0 times.
Huh?
0 times.
0 times. If you could time travel, which era would you visit and why?
100 years later.
Your personal formula for success?
Hackathons.
The next big tech trend to follow?
Privacy on AI through crypto.
Interesting. And Dubai for you is associated with?
Now, my home.
Amazing. Today we had Kostas Kryptos, Chalkias, who is the co-founder and chief cryptographer at Mysten Labs. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time.
Thank you.
From the gleaming skyscrapers of Dubai to the innovation hubs of the Middle East and beyond, Encrypted brings you thought-provoking discussions, exclusive insights, and stories of innovation that will leave you inspired. This episode of Encrypted is sponsored by CoinRoutes. CoinRoutes is a leading institutional crypto trading platform that has rapidly established itself as a market leader in systematic trading solutions, offering a powerful algorithmic order execution management system that empowers the world's largest crypto trading firms.